Hello and welcome back to Satisfactory, the brain burn. So previously we were dealing with this factory over here, which was for the steel beams. We had our cement factory over there. So we've now deleted all of the industries that were originally over in this area, cleaned it up a little bit. We still have one mine that's not being used right now. This one was one that was under a boulder. And then we have the other two over there still waiting for the steel pipes to be done. Although that one has been just sitting there doing a very small quantity of the steel pipes, which we've been feeding some of over to the assembler to help us complete phase 2. And in fact, before I continue, let's go and do that. We have enough of the parts we've been feeding whilst we've been building. And we've now collected all of the required components to send our lift up again. It's looking good.
Welcome to the Project Assembly Pioneer Progress presentation. Congratulations, the Phase 2 project part shipment is now ready for delivery. On delivery, Phase 2 will be completed and the construction dock will be constructed. After completion of Phase 2, the technologies of Tiers 5 and 6 will become available in the hub. These might feel intimidating after your previous experience, but rest assured that you would not be here if you were entirely incompetent. Highlights are oil production, railway transportation, the jetpack, and many more. Completing Phase 3 of Project Assembly is your next main objective. Just remember to focus on producing and delivering the project parts, and FICSIT's faith in you will be strengthened.
Alright, so this is pretty big.
Phase 2 of Project Assembly completed. You have been performing more adequately under pressure and are closer than ever to saving the day. Perhaps you were the right choice for the job. Time will tell. You will now enter Phase 3 of Project Assembly. Continue as you are, and there should be no issue. For humanity. For FICSIT.
So, yeah, this is pretty big for us now. Things are going to start getting a lot more complicated as we deal with oil and unlock some of the next hub upgrades. Let's go and have a quick look and select our next one. Okay, so we have Tier 5 and Tier 6. No point going for Tier 6 until we've done Tier 5. Oil processing is going to be huge for us. And this will then allow us to move over to the petroleum power, which is complicated. There's a lot you need to do. It's a balancing act with that, with a lot of surplus materials that are kicked out while you're producing things. I think straight onto the oil processing then. Anyway, I have a lot to show you. We had a concrete factory over here that we're supplying over to the steel beams factory over there, which I then required additional concrete for. And there is a pure concrete node over there, which I have feeding, it's that one there actually, which I have feeding into a small concrete plant just here. So I'll show you this quickly first, because it's part of where we're going, just so you know what's going on here. It's super simple. So we have this pure node there with a Mark II mine that's kicking out, I think, 270 per minute. This is then feeding up here. And because I don't want to be sending a lot of raw products and having more problems with production over there, I've decided to produce them here. So this one feeds into a very simple concrete factory. For some reason I've run out of power here. Oh, that's right, I was switching over to the switches. That's going down into the power thing. This one then goes off to here. And also we're going to want to bring some power up to the upper ground as well. Upper floor. Quickly run this one up. Because I think the upper floor is also on the wrong power node. That then flicks to there. Yep, this is wrong. So we'll take this off here. Then this one should connect to the middle. Yeah. Boom. There we go. So yeah, basically we're just feeding off of this one switch line here. And just to make doubly sure, let's flick them off. Boop. There we go, nice and quiet. Hopefully the same's up here. Yeah, excellent, that worked. So that's done. We've got concrete coming into here. As you can see, in quite enormous quantities. I'm going to grab some of that actually, because I'm going to need some. Let's sort that out. Yeah, that should be enough for us. And that is then being fed in a very, very long line all the way over here. And it is simply merging, joining our other concrete factory that we'd had here over to here. And these are optimized purely for sending concrete into the steel factory for us. And the mine outside is going into there. That's then being fed into the factory. There's a bunch of belts and all sorts of stuff up there that are feeding into the main factory. In here we have 240 steel ingots coming from one mine. And we have the coal as we set up in the other episode. That's coming through strong now, should be. The trucks have been going backwards and forwards. And you can see here we have a nice steady flow coming out from there. And we have plenty in here. This is really good. So we're going to come back into the factory. And then we'll go upstairs to the next layer from the steel ingots. In here, those steel ingots are being processed into steel beams. So they're taking in 60 per minute and producing 15 per minute from the steel beams. Those steel beams are then being stored in here. And while I'm here, I'm going to grab a few of those as well, because we're using a lot of these at the moment for our belts. So this is coming through here. I've got it coming on both sides from the two machines, so we have really nice strong storage quantities for the steel beams. You can see we have a lot. That's being merged, and then that's sent through into our next production room here, which is the encased beams. Again, we can switch this off if we need. And so here you can see we require 36 concrete per minute coming in here and 18 steel beams per minute, and we're producing just 6 encased industrial beams per minute. And we have 3 of these factories up and running. These are the assemblers. And again here you can see we have another 100 there. This is where the concrete is coming through the wall from outside at 40 per minute. And then that's the final machine coming through here. And our output is here. And you can see we are really, really strong. We have a lot coming through. I mean, it's not a massive amount in the mix of things, certainly for later game. But for our first little base, we're doing 18 of these things every minute. So that's the encased beams factory done. Now we are going to head over and check out the copper, which we had a very, very messy setup over here. Again, we have, I believe it's a pure node that we have for the copper. So nice strong amount coming in. And we still have some storage bins here from leftovers of what we were doing previously with the cable. Let me grab one of those as well while I'm here. And also some copper sheeting as well. So I've just disconnected them, deleted them, but I didn't delete the the stuff inside them because I'm going to take it up and place it in here. And this is our latest building now. And this is the copper wire and copper sheeting. And so in here we have our initial copper ingots coming through from our pure node on a Mark II. And it's being brought into our smelters here. You can see we're doing 30 per minute from 30 per minute, so it's a perfect conversion 1-to-1. And you can see here we can, from that one node, we can run many smelters from here. Again, we can shut this down if we need to. It really is using a huge amount of power for that. And then we go up to the next layer of the copper refining. This is where we have the storage of the ingots, just a simple belt system into 3 storage containers that are merging and then splitting and then merging again, depending on what's needed for our industry up top here. This is where we're doing the wire, and this was a hell of a job in here. So you can see we have 12 constructors here all doing wire. And each one of those is doing 30 wire per minute from 15 ingots per minute. So the breakdown is huge. Now, I can't think of anything right now specifically that I need so much wire for, but later on we're going to require a lot of wire. We need cable to be able to make certain components. We're also going to need the wire for some of the more advanced assembly things as well, like rotors, I believe. And then finally we come up here to a little bit of surplus. I did 12 copper wire constructors. And then the surplus copper ingots that we had left from that, I've fed off to do copper sheeting at 10 per minute. So we have 3 of the remaining 60 iron ingots that I had left over. I've fed them up into 3 for the copper sheeting. Only because I'm not really sure exactly how much of the sheeting I'm going to need. We can always try and rebalance that or overclock or something later to try and bring up the numbers. But for now, we have a fair quantity coming through. So I'm going to pop those in there to give it a bit of a boost. So that's our copper up and running as well here. Now, part of that copper setup down here required that I did a blueprint. And I want to show you this because I discussed the blueprints previously. This particular setup with the 12 factories, you can imagine that it would require a lot of very careful consideration how to set the belts up to properly supply all 12 machines. It looks a bit like a spaghetti junction, but it's not. We have basically one input coming into this one here, and then that is being fed off and splitting off into 12 various supplies. Now I've made a couple of adjustments from inside here to suit the machinery that we have running, but I'm going to go and show you now how I did this. I decided to place the blueprint creator on top of our first factory. Remember, this is the reinforced iron plates that we were making. And so how this has been done is this huge footprint here is in the center, and what I've done is I've created these viewing platforms on the corners and at the end as well here, so that you can kind of get into good positions to do your work inside the main area here. So you can stand up here, you can grab whatever thing you need to build, and then you can use the grid system down there to help you. You can also jump down there and have a go if you want to get close and personal. So I'm going to go over to this one here. And so it's really quite simple. That's the inlet. And then we're splitting off to another splitter here, but we're not using the initial splitter on that end there. So now we've managed to get ourselves a significant amount of extra split. We've got one coming up the top here that goes into another splitter. Each splitter does 3. And then from the other side we've got another splitter We've got an end that's not even being used over there, so you could continue this if you wanted to and split even more. And then we've just simply mirrored the same on the other side. So when you look at it from the simplicity of it from the front here, we basically have that one port there is now cleanly splitting all of this up into 2 belts there, 2 belts there, 2 belts there, and then a mirror on there. So 12 outlets that will feed precisely equal quantities of materials out to those 12 factories. So you won't get a bottleneck on one side, and when it's running at full speed, you won't get one machine that's not getting enough materials coming through. It will always break it apart evenly for you. And again, we don't even use that middle one there, which I believe probably could use. Yeah, see, if you really wanted to, you could split that again from there as well. So once you've created something like this, once you've had a bit of a think about what you want to do and how you want to do it, you just come over to this panel here. And then from here, you give the blueprint a name. You give it a description if you want slightly more information for yourself at hand. You can give it an icon here. I've not set up a directory just yet, but I know that you can break it down into various divisions and subdivisions and that kind of stuff. So that from your blueprints menu, when you select your blueprint, you can have subcategories and stuff. Anyway, so then you just simply click Save Blueprint there, and then when that's done, you can then just clear the blueprint and start another one. And to use it, just bring up your build menu, go to your blueprints, and as you can see here, I've got it listed here. If I click on that, and there it is, ready to go. Really, really easy to use. Absolute godsend when it comes to trying to do complicated setups where you have a lot of machinery going. But anyway, I had to show you that. I thought you'd enjoy seeing a simple blueprint setup, how it works in this grid. The maximum size we're allowed is the box that we have here. Cannot go outside this box. Will not save as a blueprint if you go out there. But as you can see, it's pretty big. It does allow you quite a lot of space. So if you've been paying attention, you probably would have also noticed we have a new toy that we unlocked as well. Now this thing here is a lot better than one of the regular trucks. It's a little bit quicker and it's definitely more agile. Unlike the truck, when you're going over areas like this, it doesn't want to catapult itself up and do a bunch of aerobatics on you whilst you're driving around. As you can see here, it's pretty fast. You can get some air on this thing, definitely. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't do this in the little trucks. But it doesn't have any other purpose. It has a very small storage area. You can carry a bit of stuff around with you to have a bit of an explore. But the most important thing about this one is that you can really stretch your legs and get some proper adventuring in, go out and look for stuff. It's kind of a scout vehicle, really. So yeah, I thought you'd like to see that one. You can paint it as well if you want. Kind of fun. Something else that's been unlocked through the FICSIT shop are some of the colours that we have here. And you can see with the bridge, it's got a concrete texture to it instead of the normal metal default thing we've got there. And that's because we are actually now able to colour these. And if we go to the materials tab here, you can see what we originally had was just a foundation. But now we have the concrete and we have the asphalt as well, which is nice. So I've taken a little bit of time to try and make some of these areas look a little bit more realistic. And you can see over in this factory, I've done a concrete floor. And if I go inside the factory, you can have a look and see it looks a lot nicer on the floor. It's a little brighter with the concrete down here instead of the regular one. And you can do several different textures, and this is the only one we've unlocked so far. There is also some metal ones that you can unlock. I think those are for different objects from the shop. They cost a fair bit to do, and I haven't wanted to waste too much, but I definitely like getting the concrete one and the asphalt one when I can. And that way also, when it comes to these platform areas here where I want it to be road, I can actually mark out the road where I want it to be. So that's a very useful addition to our itinerary at the moment. After we moved the steel beams over to this new factory, I then converted the second constructor over here into helping to produce more of the steel pipes that we're going to require for many, many things. But we will have to work on this and get this one built up at some point soon. We have the coal coming through specifically for this area from the truck stop that's just down there. And we have our separate truck stop for this one here. This particular iron node here, which I think is also pure, yes. I haven't decided entirely what we're going to do with that, but I know that we're going to have to start building some pretty high-end components soon to help with the space elevator. And it might be that this has to take up the slack for some of that, whilst we're also off exploring the map for some of the more advanced materials that we're going to get access to now. So watch this space. This is happening soon. I haven't quite decided what it's going to be, but it's most likely going to be to do with the motors. You can see on the top right of the screen there we have 50 motors we need. It may have something to do with that. Alright, here we are. We have the motors. Time to unlock.
Milestone reached. Crude oil can now be extracted and refined to produce various industrially beneficial parts. The byproducts of these processes will require careful management, but a capable pioneer such as yourself surely understands that. To improve efficiency, pipelines can now be optimized with valves to limit and balance their throughput. These were initially left out because FICSIT did not want to overwhelm pioneers with complex pipeline management, but they have since been re-added after my impassioned defense of your capabilities.
Thanks, Ada. Appreciate it. Alright, so we actually did find some oil on the map whilst exploring. And I've put down markers, as you can see here. We have a one pure one. There's some coal over there, and then we have a normal oil. I believe there may even be some more. And this was an area where we had issues trying to get to the coal that was on top of a cliff, which caused us to divert over to this area here, the coal power plant. Which means that this area here will most likely be converted into our petroleum power plant system. We have the oil already, we know where that is. But let's have a look and see, what do we have here? So here we go, we have a refinery now, we can plop that down. And then that can start bringing in some oil that we can then convert. Sorry, the oil extractor is going to bring the oil up, and then the refinery is going to convert that oil into rubber and plastic and that kind of stuff. What else did we get with this? I think that's all. Yeah, okay. The next milestone we're going to get, because we know the jetpack is going to be useful. Shouldn't take that long to do the parts for that one. But I think we will be aiming for utilizing the rubber that we get coming through here. And we've got plenty of these, got a lot of these as you've seen. And then we can move on to the fluid packaging, because we will also have this plastic along with the rubber. We have these being produced right now, and we have again plenty of the steel beams, and then we can finally get onto the fuel power. But yes, it won't take long to get the plastics together for this one, once we start getting the oil refineries down, which we will be doing very soon. I don't want to get too distracted though and get it on the way now, because it will take me away from this area that we need to fix here with the steel pipes, which is really important for us to have a nice smooth flow. And for anyone who's new to this game, this is one of the little things that's taken me hundreds of hours really to put a pin in certain things about this game you've got to be careful with. And one of them is to get distracted. It's really easy when you start discovering little bits and you want to go for a wander and you find a new material and you've unlocked a bunch of stuff in the hub. You've got your space elevator up and running. And then you suddenly, like here, get the ability to go and get oil. It's really tempting to go rushing off and just start plonking stuff down, because you have a few simple factories throwing out a couple of items of stuff every minute. My advice would be stick to your guns and finish what you're doing in the area you're doing it in. And this is what we have over here. We have a pretty poor system up and running. So what we can do over here with these two, for these steel tubes, can be just as enormous as that. So if we run off to find our oil now and start messing around with all of that stuff and waste an opportunity to have thousands of these things running off, then it will bite us later. So anyway, sorry for the lecture, but it's pretty good advice for a new player, and for the veteran players, they know exactly what I'm talking about. If you get distracted and you're not paying attention, then you have to come back and do all of this stuff anyway later, and it can get a little bit tedious when you're already onto the much higher tier stuff and you just want to get a move on with it. In the next stage of this, we're going to have a look at this area here, see if we can't tidy it up a bit. Probably not going to use both of these mines for this. Most likely we'll utilize the one that's closest there, as we have limited space that we can use down there for any kind of factory. And then with this one here, this can be bled either off in this direction or most likely up and onto that platform there, where we can build another complex of some sort depending on what we need. Alright, so we're in where the steel pipes were being made previously. I've torn it all down and I've started on a new build over here. It's quite a small area that we've got to work with, so I've tried to cram it in to as small a footprint as possible. I will show you upstairs what we have so far. This is just storage from the previous build where we'd filled up with a bunch of pipes. We have over here on the ground floor, from this side, we have the coal coming in. It's a little bit kind of all over the place because I've kind of got it coming in and then going out again. I wanted to have a buffer of storage here, primarily for the iron ore that was coming through, because you always have a buffer for that, and I had quite a bit of space in this slot, so I figured I would bring a second storage for the coal, and then that can come back outside again. Because coal is going to be like gold dust here, I think it's going to start to run quite thin, so to have a bigger buffer is better. That's the current coal storage that we have. That's probably quite full, yeah, at the moment. So I will be connecting that up to this belt here. In fact, I'll do that now. Go to the merger. And again, this is a little dirty in the way I'm going to do this one here. But until this is used up over here. And is it 1 or 2? It's 2, isn't it? Okay, so we want... Which way around is that one? Oh no, that's good. Yeah, so the bottom one is going forward and then that one comes over. That's excellent. So we can now run this over to here. There we go, that's nice. And then when that empties out, I can then delete all of this, clear this area up and make it a little tidier because it was a bit messy previously. From now on, we will just have the coal coming directly into here, feeding along that one line and into that wall. Well, you've seen all this before, we did in the previous factory. But this time with the pipes, we have a slightly different ratio going on. On this one, I have decided to keep it a little less crazy, and we have, I think, 5 in there. Go and have a check. Okay, so steel ingots, we've got 225 per minute. By the way, this is a useful tip. When you're calculating stuff coming through, it can be really easy to forget what you have as quantities. One of the best ways to remind yourself is that each time you come in to build a setup, you go to your calculations. So in this case, we've got 45 coming in of each of those, and we're making 45 per minute. So doing the calculation for the quantity that we have in here, which was, I think it's 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, yeah. So we have 5 coming in. And then on the door leading in there, I've just basically got a reminder of, okay, this is what's running at the moment. That's going to change, obviously, if I overclock. So, again, using this technique, if you do ramp it up, if you do start getting more per minute coming out of that, don't forget to obviously update this one here. And if you do that with every single thing that you've got being produced, then it makes it a lot easier rather than having to run around every machine and try and kind of click on each one and see what's going on, what's been overclocked, what hasn't, and losing track of exactly what it is you were producing. This way, you can just come out, make the small adjustment depending on the adjustments you've made in here, and then the next time you have to come by and check what you've done, it's very clear. So this floor that you saw up here, quickly I'll show you as well. This is a bit of a dirty system in here. It's basically because with the foundry, I have two inputs. One for coal and one for iron ore. And I had to split that into 5. So that's a split of 10. And with the footprint that we have in this area here, it's actually not that many wide, it's only 3 wide. The reason I've done it like this is so that I can bring in, you can see here, directly underneath me here, I have a coal and I have iron. That's going down the floor into the machine directly underneath. Same here, down the floor and into the machine directly. So it kind of looks a bit messy in here, although it definitely makes sense, it's all set up properly. But when you go down into the actual production area of this one, you can see that the input is much cleaner down here. So kind of the floor up there I've already done is a bit of a dirty system. And then what we have here, because of the shape of this room and the way I've had to design it, I basically just have a merger that's coming out from these 2 machines here, merging into this one, and then these 3 machines over here are merging 1, 2, 3, coming around here and into this merger, and then that bleeds off down into a storage container, which is now, as you've seen with the next stage, supplying the steel ingots that we require. And note that I'm not using this. Probably going to use that up there. There's quite a nice footprint up there to be able to use, so I'm most likely going to belt that up and then build a factory up there of some sort. Anyway, so yes, the steel ingots don't really need a massive buffer of these things, so 1 small container is enough to keep the footprint down. And then into this area here, basically we have 4 at the bottom here and 3 at the top. So we have the 7 machines in total. The output that's coming out is enough for 7.5 of these constructors. So instead of having 8 and then always running a little bit short but using up more power, I've decided instead that we'll just have a little bit of extra overflow iron ingots, and then at some point in the future we may make some adjustments here. So we're sort of underperforming very slightly here in our output of the steel pipes, but this is basically going to be 100% steel pipes coming from this one plant. And although I've still got a little bit of finishing up to do, you can see that we will basically close off that wall, close off that area up there, and then that's done. That whole area is going to be throwing out plenty of steel pipes. I'm guessing probably it will come through a wall here or something like that can then be distributed to wherever it needs to be. So I'm going to finish up this here, tidy it up, and make some decisions on what the next stage is going to be for this. Alright, here we go. We're all fully enclosed now. We've got our storage containers. I've done 2 industrial storage containers for this one because we are creating 140 per minute, so it's quite a number. We want to have a nice big buffer for that. They get used for quite a few things, the steel pipes, and we can produce them at a very good speed. So that one bleeds, or feeds rather, into this one up here. These are now coming from 2 levels, so we have the upper floor which had the 3 constructors up there doing them, and that's come through the ceiling. They've merged together. That now feeds around into another merger here. We have another merger there that's feeding from those machines, and then all together they just kind of merge into this one hole here and straight out into storage. So I think that looks pretty good. I have done a very small amount of aesthetic beautification here just for giggles, but I'll leave the main beautification for another time really, because there's a lot to do, and we've only just started trying to get the materials for this next phase that we have to do. But now that we have the pipes up and running, that now means that we can start having a peek at perhaps some of the oil as well. So we will check that out possibly after we've done the Caterium, or I may just check the Caterium out for now and see if we have enough of an industry going on over there. And if we just build a simple maximised system over there very quickly, then we can then head over to the fuel or the oil, and we can have a little look at how it all works, because that should be a very interesting one. Well, here we are, the Caterium. I think we have a fairly okay setup here. Obviously, it's not optimised. I'm not sure that we actually require an optimised Caterium just yet. Basically, the mine is pulling it out. We have it going into a smelter, being converted into ingots, and then we have one constructor here that is creating the Caterium wire. We have quite a large quantity of that for now. I'll have to check to see what else is required. It could be that we are going to need this Caterium wire to produce other items, but I can't remember what that is right now in my head, so I'm going to have to look. When it pops up and we have to create a particular item that requires it, then we'll come over here and we will sort this out. But until then, I think we're doing okay.
Witness a single strand of the tapestry.
It held a simple melody into the effigy, yet we hear no harmony. It covers the temple in bones and organs and limbs, yet ignores our bleeding wounds. Scripture is needed. Consume.
A familiar pattern is emerging in your brain. Please assess yourself for signs of concussion. If necessary, a replacement pioneer will be dispatched. Work must continue. Replacement delivery schedule estimate. Error, years.
One thing I'm noticing in this area as well is a huge amount of limestone. More than we need, really. Ah, look at that. Sniffles. Oh. A nuke obelisk. Dare I use that? Thanks, Sniffles. Yeah, I thought I'd been up here and seen a puppy. Not seeing anything else here. We know we have the crystal, or the quartz rather, just off the edge here. Yeah, this is one that actually at some point we really need to set up into a proper factory so that we can have the maximum quantity. I know later on we're going to require this. I believe for some of the more advanced computing stuff we will need the quartz or silicon. Don't think we have anything over there. I know I did an explore over there. Another nurse sphere. Let's just deal with this. I can hear another one. Where is it? Oh, there it is.
Harmonize with us.
Oh, nothing to say that time. I think we're going to need these later on as well, because we need to do some research first with the Amor. But then I believe we will get the ability to craft a particular item we can then utilise to research further. And the Mercisphere, I think, are going to give us some alien technology. I'm not sure what that is yet, because I've not experienced it. Let's have a look over here. We have an exploration area. Reverted one stone there. possibly a bigger one around here somewhere, because usually they are with these things. Get a bit more of a run up with these ones. Or maybe I could just stand on the car. Good, good. Alright, what do we have here? Rotors? Yep. Nothing really good. We will get a hard drive from this thing if we can get the right... Oh, look at that, we just needed one of those rotors. That's good. We got our first... Not first, we got another hard drive. Oh, that's interesting. This looks familiar, actually. I have a feeling that doggo is one of mine. I'm going to once again prep up just in case. But we will find out as we get close. Nope, it's not one of mine, so I'm going to back up. Right, we'll have to come back to this one later. Give it a catchy little name. Right, there you go, Fury. No relation to Nick. So really interested to see if it's possible to get on top of that flying thing over there. I'm sure there's an achievement somewhere for that. That's great. We have what looks like a yellow slug there. These things are strange. It's kind of like hitting a brick if you're going too slow. Okay, so I think actually this area then has been reworked, because I definitely recognise the landscape area of it, but it doesn't have the resources that I thought it had down here. They may be higher up, or it may be that it's just simply been reworked. It was a very inconvenient location for... Sadly, no coal here, unless it's been moved more. No, it definitely hasn't. We do have a doggo there though, let's see. It's not the one we just did, I don't think. We should call this one Mickey. There you go. It's the one for the wife. Okay. I know where that leads over there. Right, I'll take you for a little drive over there. We've not really done a lot of exploring. This will tie up this episode nicely. And so this is one of the second start points that you can choose. And there's quite a nice expanse over here. Probably not the best place to run out of fuel, isn't it? No problem. So just to my left over here, we should start to get to this very nice open expanse. Which I believe is just past this water over here. yeah, it's been worked a little bit. It's different, slightly different to what it was previously by the looks of things, but you can see here we have quite a nice large flat open area. So at some point we can come here. I am familiar with the layout of this area as well, so I know where certain resources are. I know we have some oil over in front of me there to the south, about 2 kilometers away. There should be some oil over there. Okay, and here we are back again in our territory. And I believe there's some Caterium to the right, just down here. But again, we don't really need that just yet. We have more than enough with our particular node that we're using at the moment, but at least we can expand down into this area. We have some caves around here too. I tell you, this buggy is great. Really allows you to cover some distance very, very rapidly. And you can see we're already back to the space elevator here. So I think I'm going to take the opportunity to end the episode here. As I say, really more just because I think the oil is going to require a bit more time, and I don't want the episodes to get too long for you. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed the little tour now that we've had in the vehicle. I hope you're liking what you see with the factory as well, what's been done. We're making some real progress here, and I hope you're learning something. And if I've done anything that you also feel is incorrect, or you have some good advice for me, please write it down in the comment section. I really appreciate any kind of help. I enjoy engaging with you guys in the audience, so take care of yourselves, and I will see you on the next one. Until then, bye-bye.